Nerds, welcome along to the Pro Show here at GP Pittsburgh. My name's Riley Knight. I've got the great pleasure to be joined by the world number one, Reed Duke. And I tell you what, Reed, we are in the company of some huge titans of magic here today, down in the feature match area. Corey Burkhart, known for his love of Grixis control in Modern, is playing up against Oliver Tew, another one of the younger players on the American circuit.
Yeah, super great matchup here. We're fortunate to have a matchup right here in round 4 that could easily have been or still be the finals of the tournament. These are two of the strongest players in attendance. Corey and Oliver, both highly accomplished players at every level of competition, and playing two of the more important decks in Standard right now, blue-black mid-range and red-black mid-range. For
sure. Red-black mid-range, of course, with its key card in Goblin Chainwhirler, which you see in Burkhart's hand there. Certainly been one of the format-defining decks since the Pro Tour, Reed. Blue-black mid-range has taken a bit of a back seat in recent weeks and months, but is it a deck that's still on your radar as something to watch out for?
Oh, definitely. We talked in round 2 about the strength of that single card, the Scarab God. It was like the scourge of Standard for months and months in there, and now the power is more balanced across the 5 colors, but playing a deck that gets to have, a reasonable shell of creatures and removal and reactive cards topping off the Scarab God, that's still just a really simple, effective recipe for winning games of Standard.
Burkhart now going to continue to develop his mana. Looks like both players have got a good mix of lands and spells in hand here. So we're not going to have any stumbles and fumbles on the mana front, although Tew critically actually without blue mana here, Reed.
Yeah, we might see him, if he doesn't have to use his mana on something else, use the Field of Ruin to search up an island. So given enough time, he'll be all set, but for now, he is stuck to just black cards.
Looks like that Field of Ruin activation is happening right here, right now, before your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd be very surprised to see Tew getting anything other than an island out of his deck here, because obviously, he needs both colors of mana to function. Burkhart's going to content himself with a mountain. Let's talk a little bit about the blue-black mid-range deck here, Reed, because I know people will be very familiar with black-red. What's this blue-black deck all about outside of the Scarab God?
Well, this deck has the particular strength of being very customizable and having an excellent anti-control matchup after sideboarding. And the reason is that, well, blue and black just have the best sideboard options against control in Duress and Negate and Argyll's Bloodfast, things like that. But the main deck is going to be packed with versatile utility creatures like Champion of Wits and Glint Sleeve Siphoner, and a healthy amount of removal, and Vraska's Contempt Fatal Push, and Oliver Tew even has Doomfall. So the name of the game is just having answers to everything, being very customizable, improving after sideboard, and of course just topping off at that Scarab God, which can be sort of a one-man show in a lot of games of Magic.
Fatal Push going to remove Heart of Kieran from the equation here. You can see Burkhart is playing with his hand still face up, that Abrade and that Ether Hub in hand here for Burkhart. Reed, something I want to draw our viewers' attention to is the fact that Oliver Tew, unbelievably in my view, is playing 4 copies of Champion of Wits and 4 copies of Glint Sleeve Siphoner. This man has no respect for Goblin Chainwhirler.
It's true. Those cards are super strong, and it's worth noting that they don't have to stay on the battlefield for a long time to get their effect. But it does mean that Oliver's playing a particular configuration of creatures that can be damaged quite badly by Goblin Chainwhirler, a card that's going to be ubiquitous this weekend.
I mean, we've seen Glint Sleeve Siphoner out of the board a lot of the times in these black-based mid-range decks, and I think that's a fantastic take because obviously the card's huge against control and can just run away with games, in the same way that we see one of your favorite cards, Dark Confidant, in Modern, but wow, a real liability against old Cheney Dubs in game number 1. All the same, Oliver Tew, not a mind to be doubted, Reed. He's obviously got some kind of idea as to how to attack this format.
That's true. Oliver Tew was the constructed master in 2016, 2 years ago. But yeah, certainly a player that knows his way around the Standard format, and somebody who's worth keeping a close eye on exactly what he's doing, what his take is.
Vraska's Contempt now is going to deal with that Scrap Heap Scrounger. It looked like Burkhart had a very odd response to that, however, Reed.
Yeah, he abraded his own creature, which is a concession to just not having that much action. He's willing to trade his Abrade to have Scrap Heap Scrounger in the graveyard just because he doesn't want the game to drag on indefinitely, where Oliver Tew can have time to cast and draw all of his more powerful cards. So he's forcing the action in that way, abrading his own creature for the ability to bring it back a little bit later.
Looks like he's forcing the action as well when it comes to Chew's life total. He's on 9. Burkhardt, I love the pace of play. He's playing at a very speedy clip here. Reed looking to get the job done. Glorybringer coming into play, tapped and attacking. Here's the Glensleeve Siphoner we talked about.
I'd also like to talk about the particularities of Corey Burkhardt's deck. We saw him start off a little slow out of the gates, in part because he drew 2 Cinder Barons. So that's a card that not all these red-black decks play, and certainly a way that you can draw the distinction between the aggressive mono-red splashing scrap heap scrounger decks and the actual true black-red mid-range decks like what Corey is playing. So what he paid the cost early in the game playing 2 copies of Cinder Barons and slowing down, but he reaped the rewards when he was able to Vraska's Contempt Oliver Two's Scarab God, because if that had been simply an unlicensed disintegration or no answer at all, he would probably be dead by now.
And the reason we see Vraska's Contempt in decks like Burkhardt's here is because they have that heavier black component. We're playing 2 swamps in the main deck here for Corey, and that enables double black spells to be cast with much more reliably.
Right, exactly. So 3 Cinder Barons, 2 swamps. These cards they damage your ability to curve out in the red aggressive way, but Vraska's Contempt is not a card that's accessible for the mono red splashing black decks because of that double black mana cost. But Vraska's Contempt is one of the best and most important cards to have access to in longer games in Standard because of stuff like the Scarab God, Hazoret, Planeswalkers.
Yeah, Rekindling Phoenix as well, one of those
Definitely.
threats that you want to take down with an exile effect. We're going to see Oliver Chew now activate Return, the back half of Never to Return. Exile a target card from a graveyard and create a 2/2. And we're getting that 2/2 fixed up right here, right now. There it is. And we'll see what Burkhardt's next move is here. He's certainly in the driver's seat, although this Glensleeve Siphoner is going to draw Chew an extra card. And from there, I don't know, this match is kind of evenly poised right now. Or would you still say that Burkhardt's ahead?
I would say it's very even. The Siphoner is very fragile, vulnerable to Chain Whirler, but we're seeing that sort of Baneslayer Angel dynamic that even though a card can often die on site, when it doesn't, it can be so powerful that it's just worth taking the risk. And here, Oliver has drawn 2 additional cards in a very close game, and if he wins this game, that's going to be a major factor.
Looks like we got a bit of a blowout here on the highway. Gonna repair this. Go down to Michelin, get a new tire for this particular vehicle here. Busting up a sleeve, of course. Something that Oliver, I think he noticed that. I think he put those 2 cards there as the first and second card of his library, so he can replace them there.
So I think Oliver drew his card for his Siphoner and for his draw step, and then the players are just paused while the sleeve's getting replaced.
Well, you noticed that sleeve was all messed up. So yep, okay, back to whoa, buddy. Oh dear.
He played Champion of Wits.
So that's all good. Okay, I was thinking, Oliver Chew, my friend. Don't get too far ahead of yourself, but wow, that all worked out very totally. So Chew now having to discard 2 cards as well. A little bit of shortcutting there from him. Now, you're an associate of Corey Burkhardt, someone that you work with from time to time, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got any insight onto his preparation for this particular event?
Well, this was a last-minute decision for Corey to book this flight, and he is playing one of the more predictable, stock deck choices. So I wouldn't say that it's probably his best tournament of the year, but he's just an elite player. He practiced a ton of Standard for the Pro Tour only a few weeks ago, and he's playing one of the best, most powerful decks, so I would give him as good of a chance to do well as anybody. And
he's got up in game number 1 against the Chew clan here. Oliver Chew going down in game number 1 to Magic the Gathering's very own Samson here. Look at that. Look at that mane of hair, Reed.
Yeah, he's looking good.
He's going green with envy over here. I can tell you that, ladies and gentlemen. Gentle Reed Duke in the booth, frothing with rage, because it's a title I know that you've got your own as well. We're going to have a look at the sideboards now for Burkhardt and Chew. Pretty classic stuff going on for Corey Burkhardt. I like seeing stuff like Cut to Ribbons and extra copies of Doomfall. Of course, Duress, a key card post-board. What are your eyes drawn to here in the 15 of Corey Burkhardt?
Well, first of all, I got to hand it to Corey and his deck choice that I really believe he won that game because of Vraska's Contempt, which many similar decks don't have access to. Now, his sideboard options also improve because of his heavier commitment to black mana. He has access to Argyl's Bloodfast, which is likely to come in this matchup. Stronger against the pure control versions of blue-black, but still I think a very effective card that he'll want access to. He has Angrak the Flame Chained, which can come in for any matchup where you expect to go long. Cut Ribbons, Doomfall, Duress, and another Vraska's Contempt. In particular, I think Doomfall and Contempt are very effective because the Scarab God is the number one way that the blue-black mid-range is going to win this matchup. And it also can be strong against Champion of Wits with the Exile, ensuring that you're not going to have to worry about the Eternalize on the backside.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The importance of exile effects in Standard at the moment. I know that, many years ago, remember during Return to Ravnica Innistrad Standard when Abzan Reanimator was all the rage, and we had cards like Dissipate, which was so important in keeping, an Angel of Serenity from being brought back with an Unburial Rites or what have you. In this format, we've got Syncopate, we've got Doomfall, we've got Vraska's Contempt. Cards that exile threats like Scrap Heap Scrounger, all the way up to things like Rekindling Phoenix. Really, really important in Standard today. Definitely.
Exiling is huge, in part because of that graveyard recursion element. There's the Scrap Heap Scroungers, the Phoenixes, stuff like Liliana Death's Majesty that can rebuy creatures from the graveyard. But even on top of that, many of the most powerful cards in Standard are the gods from Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation, the Scarab God, Hazoret the Fervent, and you just can't kill those creatures through normal means. Color combinations like red and green really, really struggle against those. So if you dip into white or black to have access to Cast Out, Vraska's Contempt, Ixalan's Binding, Hour of Glory, that can give you a big advantage against an open field where you don't necessarily know exactly what threats you're going to be facing in what matches.
And this is why we see in the red decks that are only perhaps splashing black, the ones that really want that Vraska's Contempt-like effect. We see Hour of Glory as a sort of the poor man's version of the Contempt there, but can still get the job done against these gods you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, just having an answer for that card, for those types of cards at the key moment that makes and breaks games.
Let's have a talk about Oliver Chew's sideboard as well. Of course, he's also having access to some of these powerful black cards, Duress as well. What about Negate, the role of Negate in this matchup? It can snag things like Khan, Chandra, Heart of Kiran. Is it well positioned?
Yeah, the hallmark of the blue-black deck is customizability, so Oliver has a lot of options. He can sort of take this the way he wants to, and one particular thing that he's going to be thinking about is whether he's on the play or the draw. It so happens he's on the play for this game, which means that Negate can tag something early like a Heart of Kiran, in addition to being able to protect his Scarab God, in addition to stopping some of Corey's higher-end sideboard cards if he has some. So Negate is a card that I don't think Oliver is going to bring in the maximum number of copies without thinking about it. It's not that type of card, but it's something that he's certainly going to mix and match, sprinkle in to, flavor his recipe, so to speak.
I mean, it's not quite a toolbox deck, right? Like, it's not like your sort of Court of Calling deck in Modern, but it's still, as you say, there's a lot of moving parts, and you can customize it to attack whichever deck you're looking to get up against.
Correct, particularly for a matchup like this where the games are going to go long and there's going to be a wide variety of threats and answers on both sides. A player of Oliver's caliber is going to look to draw a lot of ones and twos of unique types of cards, and then he'll be able to leverage them in the proper way to navigate the game where he wants it to go.
Sure, and Champion of Wits cards like that are going to help him to find those one-ofs, those two-ofs as he needs them. As we see Corey Burkhardt now go down to 6, tell us a little bit about Oliver Chew. He's been around for, as you say, a couple of years, Constructed Master 2 years back. Tell us a little bit about this guy.
Well, only been around for a couple of years, which I say only because Oliver is one of the most accomplished players in the game and very high up there in the players who have accomplished the most in the last 2 and 3 years. He was the Constructed Master in addition to being the Rookie of the Year. His very first World Championships, he put up a top 4 finish, which is something that the very top elite players dream of doing.
Yeah.
So Oliver, just great player with a really bright future. It's always a treat to watch him play.
Well, we're getting to watch him do that exactly here and now as we see Scrap Heap Scrounger dealt with an early Essence Scatter. Looks like Heart of Kiran was able to sneak onto the battlefield, however. And Chew in an interesting spot here. He's not having any mana issues, but it looks like Burkhardt has got a handful of expensive cards. 4 drops, 5 drops, you name it. And he's going to need to continue to find those untapped lands if he wants to stay in this one.
Definitely. We'll see if Oliver has more of a reactive hand, or if he has something that can force the action. He didn't drop the Scarab God on turn 5, so you got to figure Burkhart's breathing a sigh of relief there. And it'll be interesting to see how this game shapes up. You take a look at Corey, that combination of Heart of Kirin and Scrap Heap Scrounger can represent some persistent damage and really give Oliver a headache if his hand is not lined up to beat it.
Burkhart may have found that untapped land that he needed here. No, it's just going to be Goblin Chain Whirler now. Well, still good for some damage if it resolves, but no, commit to memory. Going to pop the Chain Whirler back in the library here, so no 4th land for Burkhart. He needs to find one next turn, because otherwise he's just drawing the 3/3 again. Can he get it? No. Oh, my goodness. This is awkward stuff here for Burkhart.
Yeah, beautiful sequence for Oliver, too. The commit was a great answer for 2 reasons, both keeping the Chain Whirler out of the graveyard for the purpose of Scrap Heap Scrounger and torturing the opponent that's stuck on mana. Here, of course, Corey's just going to draw the Chain Whirler instead of the untapped black mana that he needs. The sequence also just lined up perfectly with Oliver drawing the Scarab God to play on 5 mana, and now he's got Torrential Gearhulk, and I think this game is effectively wrapped up.
Yeah, wow, it's more or less locked up just like that. Burkhart with some early mana issues, and I mean that you cannot argue with the power level of this guy's hand. Look at that, Chandra, Glorybringer, Khan, all sorts of stuff, and an Essence Scatter as well. No, the Torrential Gearhulk on the commit. Much better play here. So, geez, Corey Burkhart stuck in a living nightmare.
Oh, wow, he just took 10 damage and transformed his Argyle's Bloodfast.
That's one way to get a land, I guess. So now he is going to be able to cast one of these 4-drops, but Reed, is it going to be enough? It is not, and Burkhart, wow, in a lightning-fast game, goes down to Oliver Chu, who equalizes comfortably. I mean, what I think really stands out to me in that game there, Reed, was the fact that Oliver Chu saw an opening, saw a weakness. Corey Burkhart stumbled on mana early, and Chu just punished him to the maximum extent he could.
Yeah, it's a hallmark of this standard format that cards are just so punishing, and if you get behind something like the Scarab God, it can just be impossible to come back. So a lot of games you'll see come down to, if the player hits their 4th land untapped, they're going to have a great play to make, and they're going to push their advantage. And if they don't, they're going to fall woefully behind, and it's going to be really hard to come back. And Corey Burkhart was the victim of that in that particular game.
I mean, his hand was stacked. It was set up to really do some work. He had some absolutely huge haymakers. He just needed a couple of extra lands and couldn't find them. And I really liked, as you said, Chu's play to capitalize with that commit, tucking away that Goblin Chain Whirler twice, meant that Burkhart just didn't have the draw steps that he wanted or needed. And unfortunately for him, Chu was able to equalize at 1-1 here at GP Pittsburgh. You're in the booth with me, Riley Knight. I'm joined by Reed Duke, and I tell you what, it is an absolute pleasure to have your company for another weekend of Magic, coming live your way from Pennsylvania. More Standard coming your way in the coming weeks as well. We're off to US Nationals next week, and then a trip to Sao Paulo, Reed, for a South American GP. I'm down Brazil way there for that one. Going to be there.
Wow,
with,
that's exciting.
I tell you what, I'm on the hottest streak at the moment. Get to spend the weekend in the booth with you. Fantastic. 2 weeks from now, in the booth with PV, Palo Vida Damata Rosa, and I cannot wait. There are going to be some fireworks that week, and it's always great to see the GPs that are sort of in the more far-flung corners of the galaxy, down in Australia, down in Brazil. Should be a good weekend of Magic, I would say.
That's right. We have Grand Prix Singapore happening this weekend.
That's right.
It's one of the big events for Magic's 25th anniversary. We just had Las Vegas last weekend.
How'd you go in Vegas?
I competed in a lot of tournaments.
Okay. All right.
And
that's just about all you want to say on the matter?
No, I finished 11-4 in the sealed deck Grand Prix, which is good finish. Definitely can't complain, but with such a large number of players, that was outside the money.
Yeah, I didn't get that. You went on that paper chase? Couldn't get that cheddar?
Yeah.
Couldn't lock it down. No, bad luck, my friend. Well, there's always next time, I suppose. What's your preparation schedule looking like for the Pro Tour that's coming up?
Well, next week I'll be covering U.S. Nationals, and that may be the last Magic tournament I attend between now and the Pro Tour. Maybe I'll find some time to play a Star City event or a Mox tournament on Magic Online or something. But pretty much my focus is going to be on the Pro Tour, and I'll be looking to really put my best foot forward for that. Yeah,
of course. It's a huge event. For those of you who don't know, the next Pro Tour that's coming your way first weekend of August, it is a team Pro Tour. The first one for, how long has it been? It's over a decade at least, Reed.
Yeah, for as long as I've been on the Pro Tour, they have not had any team competitions at that level.
going to be a real blast from the past, and I know that many people are excited to get across it, myself amongst them. So that'll be coming your way live from the home of Magic, twitch.tv/Magic. That'll be live again first weekend of August, I should say, and we'll be joined by M19. Very exciting that the core sets are back. That was where I cut my teeth when I was first drafting, casting Fairy Invaders and Centaur courses. And,
very nice, very nice.
Oh, dude, it was a real ride. So I mean, look, it's just good, honest Magic, right? Unpretentious cards they're not great, they're not terrible. It's just proper bread and butter, meat and potatoes Magic, and I'm looking forward to getting back into it.
Yeah, I love that they brought back the core set. It's a great stepping stone for players that are not necessarily experts, or if you're a constructed player but you're looking to get into limited, it can be a great place to start. And even for more advanced players, it's just nice to have a refresher on the basics.
Yeah, the fundamentals, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to stay sharp. And it'll be interesting to see how Core Set 2019 shakes up Standard, if indeed it does. We got a duress now from Oliver Chu on turn number 1 here. And some options for him to choose from here, Reed.
Yeah, so this time it's Oliver's turn to take a mulligan. He started with 6 cards, but look at Corey's hand. He had 2 lands, and with Oliver taking away the Argyll's Bloodfast, it's plausible that Corey could get stuck yet again and not be able to cast the spells out of his hand. We'll see if the next 2 draw steps are kind to him, but that's certainly a worry.
So Corey Burkhart may be shaping up for a unanimous election to the Mairdom of Loose Keep City here. We will see how that works. And, of course, the Swamp in conjunction with the Goblin Chainwhirler.
Yeah, that's a bad look. At least he has other cards to play on 3 mana if the Chainwhirler can't come down.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we got a Doomfall, we got a P and a Lara as well, but Burkhart just needs that land. Doesn't find it as well. He's got a Glorybringer in hand. One last turn. Well, at least we got something to play here, Reed. But again, this is a pretty gruesome encore here for Corey Burkhart. Yeah,
it's got to be disappointing. And I mean, let's not count him out yet. Oliver did take a mulligan. He hasn't put any pressure on, so there may be more opportunities for Corey to draw lands. And there you see gruesome encore.
Oh, yeah. Andrew Brown on the card viewer, not missing a trick, my friends. And that's what it takes to be the best in the biz. He knows exactly what's up. Here's a P and a La, but Chew with the answer.
Only 1 turn behind schedule. He finds his land, and Oliver not putting any pressure on, so Corey will have time to cast at least a few of the spells out of his hand. He's really looking to strip away a Scarab God with the Doomfall, but if Oliver can counter that Doomfall and play the Scarab God, could be too much for Corey to come back from.
Now, Burkhart did opt to go for the Penal rather than the Doomfall. He's looking to get on the front foot and apply some pressure before playing a more reactive game.
Well, the Doomfall that you don't see here, it got committed second from the top, so he missed his 4th land again here on turn 5, and it's now on Oliver, who's thinking about his land drop. I see that his only land, I think, is a Fetid Pools, which he can choose to either play tapped or keep to cycle later.
He's going to play it, ship the turn. Back to Burkhart now, who is still in with a sniff. Finds that basic mountain. That's big, because that means Khan Sign of Urza is put on the stack, and Chew with no response. So here is Khan. Let's have a look what he can find. There's that Doomfall you mentioned, Reed. Canyon Slayer going to hit the hand of Burkhart, and Doomfall getting a silver counter.
So this could actually work out very well for Oliver. If he's able to kill the Karn, then he doesn't have to worry about the Doomfall at all, which could pave the way for something like the Scarab God to come down.
What are his options to get rid of that Karn? Is he looking just straight up at a Vraska's Contempt? Or
he's got a lot of options. 4 Vraska's Contempt, Never Return, Commit Memory. Those are all cards he has access to that can deal with the Karn. But no, his best option, it seems, is just to play into the Doomfall. I think we're almost certainly going to see Corey. I mean, he has another Doomfall in hand, but he could easily just -1 the Karn, pick up that one with the silver counter, and that's what he does.
And exile there the Scarab God. Now we often see in these slower matchups the I guess the Thoughtseize type mode activated on the Doomfall. But hey, a Diabolic Edict is sometimes all you need, and it's really got Oliver Chew in a rough spot right now.
And that's part of the power of Doomfall, which is that you could just choose the mode that's appropriate for the situation. If you want an answer to one particular hard-to-deal-with creature, like a Lyra Dawnbringer or the Scarab God, it's that for you. And if you want to play the long game, where you're trying to set up a particular play, strip your opponent's resources, then you can use the hand. mode of Doomfall.
Check this out, though. We don't often see this. Commit to memory. The back half of it being cast memory. It's, what is it, a time twister?
Precisely, yeah. It's Time Twister. Each player is going to shuffle up and draw 7. So the advantage of Time Twister compared to memory is the cheap mana cost. You can often, cast it when your opponent still has a full hand, and maybe you can play something out the turn that you cast it. But here it's decidedly to Oliver 2's disadvantage because Corey's going to be the one who can untap and use his mana first, not to mention that he has a Planeswalker on 5 loyalty on the battlefield.
So more of a desperation move there for Chew.
That's what I would call it, yeah, desperation move.
Well, rough stuff for him as we see both players with a fresh grip. We'll see what Burkhart's next move is. Another dueling Planeswalkers here. Reed, it's not looking good for Oliver Chew.
No, it's not looking good. He's going to hope that he picked up a nice hand with multiple of cards like Vraska's Contempt, Never Return. If he can answer... I really want to say he needs to answer 2 permanents this turn, particularly because Corey wound up with a decently strong hand off of the memory. But we'll see what Oliver can put together.
Now, Burkhart not in need of any extra cards, so we are going to see a construct come down. Just a little 1-1 at this stage, but of course could be set to grow. Burkhart is playing artifacts in his deck, of course. Scrap Heap Scrounger, Heart of Kiran, and Khan is able to just continue that mechanized production of those little constructs. So look, there's no doubt about it. He's in the driver's seat here. But Chew, with 7 lands and a Never to Return in hand, that's step 1, Reed.
Definitely. In fact, he might be able to play both Never Return and Vraska's Contempt to get rid of both Planeswalkers. And from there, it's a dogfall. Either player can go on and win.
Chew now carefully considering his options. We're gonna kick things off with the Never to Return on Khan, the Sign of Urza. And then the Vraska's Contempt as well. So Chew is back in it in a major way, gaining it a bit of extra life as well. There's a nice buffer. He's got to face off these creatures, but they're decidedly much easier to answer.
That exact combination of untapped black mana, Never Return, and Vraska's Contempt was the best possible situation Oliver could have hoped for.
Well, looks like the old desperation memory may have helped him push forward here, but my goodness me, he's really under a huge amount of pressure now. Not only Goblin Chain Whirler and the Construct token, but a Glory Bringer joining the party as well, in addition to that Chandra. And this is what happens when we see those late game draw 7s. Pace of play certainly gets accelerated.
Yeah, Corey Burkhart just not letting off here.
And we'll see what Chew can do about it. See if he can stitch together the answers that he needs. 7 mana. And 2 of it is going to power out at... Whoa. Okay. Is that a Search for Azcanta or
that looks like a
Bloodfast?
Bloodfast, which I can't imagine he's looking to draw too many cards off that, but it might just be setting up to actually transform it, either for extra mana or the ability to sacrifice something like a Torrential Gearhulk and keep himself in the game.
Well, he's going to draw at least 1 card straight away. Geez, that flip card is really leaving no one in any doubt as to which card it represents, I read. That is, it looks like a letter home from the Western Front World War I. The censors really had to go at that. What is that flip card? Is that oh no, it's Argyle. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. All right, you just blacked everything else out. All right, two damage coming away from the Dragon Skull Summit. Going to cycle away a Canyon Slough as well. 2 down to 9. So a lethal attack available here. Oh, not quite. Close to, however.
If he can produce 1 more artifact, it would be a lethal attack.
Numbers are hard, man. You get to like 3, and then it just gets so complicated from there. Burkhart cycling away another Canyon Slough here. And finds a Vraska's Contempt. Magma Spray in hand as well for him. Plays a land. I think he's going to have to settle to putting, or attempting at least, to put Chew down to 1 here. And we'll see what Chew's response is.
The Argyle's Bloodfast is quite a powerful card, and subtly powerful because of that transformation. If you can pull ahead on cards a little bit and then transform into the Temple of Aklazatz to buffer your life total and keep your head above water, it's a recipe that these blue-black mid-range decks turn to quite a lot, and it's actually surprisingly effective.
So 2 down to 5, thanks to the Goblin Chainwhirler and the Construct getting across. And he's going to draw another card. Wow, look at this. No fear from the young hero. And we're going to flip that Argyl's Bloodfast. He may want to draw an extra card off it before that happens.
He's thinking about it.
If he really wants to play with fire here. Oh, look at that. Put that mana forefront front and center there, so he can tap that to draw that extra card. Go down to 1. I love it. No fear.
He's really thinking about it. So this could be either because the situation is very bad for him, he's lacking action, or because it's very good for him. He knows he can get back out of range and is thinking about squeezing that extra value out.
Found a Torrential Gearhulk off the top with the Vraska's Contempt in the bin. That is a very, very nice rip here for Oliver Chu, and we may see that Gearhulk come down right now to take care of Chandra. Looks like that's going to be the case. Gain 2 life as well. He's back up to 5. Chu could be turning this one around here, Reed.
Yeah, this is remarkable. I was ready to count him out at various points in this game, but the dust has settled after the memory. He had a very strong hand with the right answers, and he actually fought through everything that Corey Burkhart was able to produce. And now that careful play of sneaking the Argyl's Bloodfast in at the right time, it's going to work out really well for him.
And now as well, look at this. We see the Temple of Akhlazot's used to sacrifice the Torrential Gearhulk, both removing any life gain for Corey Burkhart and gaining 6 life for Oliver Chu himself. He's back at 11, and he's back in with a very, very good sniff at this. As we see an Essence Extraction as well. What a recovery from Oliver Chu.
Yeah, what a recovery. So now his life total is safe, and but he doesn't have the Scarab God, he doesn't have the Bloodfast anymore. So it is a question of which player from this point can actually get ahead in the card advantage battle, and Corey just deploying his own Argyl's Bloodfast might have the advantage in that ballpark.
Andrew Brown says it best from the card viewer. Back from the brink, Oliver Chu well and truly on 14 life when he was down to just 3 and almost down to 1 there at one point. And Reed, I want to come back to what you said about that memory. It provided Oliver Chu with a terrific grip full of the answers that he needed. But let's not forget that Corey Burkhart also ripped a very spicy 7 off the top thanks to that memory. And it wasn't enough to seal the deal here. Expert navigation from Chu, who's been knocked down to 13 now thanks to that Goblin Chainwhirler and Construct double act. Let's see what his next move is. 5 mana. Well, smart money maybe on the Scarab God here. Oh, we've got something else cooking up. Here we go. Liliana, Death's Majesty. First time we've seen that card, you and I today, Reed.
Yeah. Boy, I've also been impressed that these players are navigating an extremely complicated game at a very fast clip. My brain doesn't work quite as fast as these sharp younger players. I would be taking my time on each of these decisions, thinking about every point of life, but Oliver just seems to see all the best plays very quickly.
These youngsters, these young whippersnappers on the front lawn, Reed, with their Snapchats and their YouTube subscription videos. Oh, I don't understand it. You veterans like you and me, Reed, we miss the days of MySpace and GeoCities. Back when people were honest. You knew what you were working with animated GIFs on a Yahoo GeoCities. Gifted Aetherborn as well, shoring up the defenses in addition to that reanimated Torrential Gearhulk. Corey Burkhart's going to start digging here with this Argyl's Bloodfast. He's got mana and to spare, so he can fill up his hand. See a Planeswalker hiding out in there in addition to a couple of other cards. Magma Spray perhaps not at its best in this position. Ooh, look at this one. Here's that Planeswalker. And we got a reader. We got a reader.
Here's another example, Riley, of where the Temple of Akhlazot's is going to be hugely to Oliver's advantage. One of the more powerful modes on Angrath is that -3 to gain control of a creature. But Oliver, if he needs to, can just sacrifice whatever Corey targets in response to make sure he's not getting hit for a big chunk of life by his own creature.
I have never seen someone get so much value out of a Temple of Akhlazot's. Because usually, there is the desperation move. You have to just start blocking and sacrificing just to stay alive here. But Chu has sacrificed his creatures for fun and profit. Looks like Angrath's going to go upstairs, however. Discard a card, take 2. And it's going to be, Vraska's Contempt. This man can do no wrong. He can't put a foot wrong, Reed.
He has cast a lot of Vraska's Contempts in this game.
You're telling me. Unbelievable. And so Burkhardt loses the Angrath for no value, and Scrape Heap Scrounger, the next play from him.
You know, I think a lot of Oliver's deck choices, he just constructed a deck where he's like, I want to cast Vraska's Contempt on as many turns of the game of Magic as I can. I'm going to put Torrential Gearhulk. I'm going to shuffle them back in with Commit Memory. I'm going to have Liliana and Scarab God to rebuy my Gearhulks, and I'm just going to kill every Planeswalker and every God that my opponent can put onto the battlefield.
2 cards in the bin. Now comes a 2/2 zombie as well. I mean, it wasn't so long ago, Reed, that we were talking about Vraska's Contempt as the final answer, really, in Standard. It was the be-all and end-all, basically. You know, it answered every threat that you cared to name, and it was a must-include in any black deck. That's kind of fallen off recently, but Oliver Chu may be leading the charge back towards having this card as just a absolute mainstay 4-of staple.
I do think it's one of the strengths of playing this particular blue-black mid-range deck is getting access to 4 Vraska's Contempts. The heavy commitment to black mana is really strong in this standard environment.
Oliver Chu looks at the hand of Corey Burkhardt. He's like, well, I mean, they're both real stinkers. So I mean, you want to hold on to both of them, huh? I don't really I don't mind too much. But ultimately, the Magma Spray is going to hit the bin, and we're going to see the return part of Never to Return, creating another zombie here.
Yeah, wow, Riley, it looks like Oliver, too, is about to win this game.
This is incredible.
It's expertly navigated from him. Super impressive to come back from a bad situation. Got to be frustrating from Corey's perspective because you're just thinking, like, okay, I need him to not have the right answer for any of these deadly threats. Like, even if one slips through the cracks, I'm going to win. But Oliver just had them all.
Just had it, and he's on 17. He was on 3.
He was.
He's stabilized marvelously, and Corey Burkhardt. I mean, the thing is, we can't look at Burkhardt and say, oh, you know, you should have done this, you should have done that. I don't think he made any mistakes. It's just Chu just outclassed him and outpaced him.
He even made a really subtle, good play that I don't think I would have made, which was the turn after the memory, he ticked down his Karn to make a 1/1 construct, which has chipped away a lot of points off of 2's life total. I would have been tempted to plus the Karn, but given that it ate of Vraska's Contempt anyway, it would have worked out much more... Corey's play was great, you know, the way the game has played out, but it still wasn't enough.
Scrap Heap Scrounger comes across now. Fearless in the face of the oncoming tide from Chu. Of course, it can't block, so maybe it's more fear than fearless from the old 3/2. Staple of the standard format for a long time, this card. One of the only cards to have top-aided, been included in more than 24 copies in 2 separate Pro Tour top 8s. According to Stats Wizard, AGLVI, I think is his Twitter handle. That guy knows what's up.
Yeah, that's right. There was one recent Pro Tour with 6 Mardu Vehicles decks, and then one with 6 red-black decks. Yep. The last Pro Tour Dominaria.
Just to put things in perspective, other cards that have also put 24 copies into multiple Pro Tour top 8s, Wasteland.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we're talking about like the best cards, you know, in the history of the game. So Scrap Heap Scrounger, no slouch at all.
I recall 6 Elves combo decks in the top 8 of Pro Tour Berlin. Luis Scott Vargas' first Pro Tour victory.
Let's see what's up now as we move on. Burkhardt down to 5. Oliver Chu, I mean, I can't believe the position he's found himself in. He has just done so well here. What a masterclass it's been from him. Yeah, I mean, imagine you had to get up and use the bathroom in the middle of this game. You're a fan watching at home. You come back, you're like, what happened? Is this even the same game I was watching 5 minutes ago? Is there a game 4? Like, what's happening here? This doesn't make any sense at all. So Chu now sitting pretty at 19, as we said, active Planeswalker and plenty of protection from him. Burkhardt on 5, not out for the count. Let's be upfront about that.
Yeah, he still has a Bloodfast in play. He can actually transform his Bloodfast and play a second one, so he'll have the powerful combo of Temple of Aklazat's and Argel's Bloodfast both in play at the same time. But now it's Oliver's turn to just keep forcing the action. Up to 27 here. Wow. This is bonkers. 2/2 construct going to trade with the 2/2 zombie.
And Burkhart is going to draw another card here. And some interesting little sort of, well, not quite recursion, but some interesting little engine action from Oliver Chu there, sacrificing his Torrential Gearhulk and then bringing it back with the Liliana to flash back another removal spell. And it's just like you said, Reed, he wants to cast as many Vraska's Contempts as he can.
I don't blame him.
What's the actual maximum he can cast? Is it just 8?
No, he can cast 4, then he can shuffle them back in with memory.
Okay.
Then cast them again.
12. And how many copies of Commit to Memory?
Only 1.
Oh, so he can cast 12. So we're maxed out at 12 here. Oliver Chu, come on. Burkhart now on 1. He's battling hard, I tell you that much. Chu's going to Field of Ruin the opposing Temple of Aklazots. In response, we'll see an activation. Burkhart gains 2 up to 3. But Oliver Chu about to put the finishing touches on. Just an absolute masterclass display here from Blue-Black mid-range. And it's just what you said before, Reed. This deck is enormously customizable. It can be built to beat more or less anything in the field. And post-board, the options just get better because of the flexibility, right? The way that it can position itself to really tackle anything the standard format can throw at it.
Yeah, it's a perfect choice for an elite player like Oliver who can just, you see the way this game has played out. If you give Oliver a complicated board state with a lot of tools, a lot of weapons, a lot of activated abilities, he's just going to find his way. So if that's the type of game that you want to play, Blue-Black mid-range is a great choice.
Doomfall edicts away that gifted Aetherborn here. And Burkhart facing down a lethal Torrential Gearhulk. He's got a couple of cards in hand. No, he's got 1 card in hand, and he does Stone Cold nothing. Torrential Gearhulk wraps this one up for Oliver Chu. And I tell you what, Reed, hats off to the youngster because he absolutely crushed his enemy there. And that was, a Stone Cold masterclass, as I say, in overcoming, keeping your head in the game, right? The psychology of that situation also really can't be understated.
Yeah, really, really impressive stuff. And you make a great point. It's not giving up. It's thinking through, okay, I'm in a bad spot, but let me choose the line of play that gives me a 12% chance instead of an 8% chance, and really just, as you said, keeping your head in the game, looking for every possible bit of value and navigating towards that one route that's going to get you through the gates. And
Oliver Chu certainly did that. It was a very, very convincing performance from him. We described that memory as a desperation move, but it certainly paid off in the end.
Yeah, I think so.
Masterful stuff from him, my friends. We've got to go to a break on the other side of these ads. However, we've got Time Walk Magic coming your way from GP Pittsburgh, so we'll see you back here after this. What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the tournament floor here at GP Pittsburgh. My name's Ronnie Knight, joined by Reed Duke, the man who needs no introduction. He gets one anyway. He's just that kind of guy. My friends, we got some time warp magic for you as we round down round number 4. Reed, these names, also two blokes that don't need too much of an introduction. Corey Baumeister, Dmitry Butikov.
Yeah, so we have Corey Baumeister, one of the best, probably just the best American Standard Grand Prix player of recent years.
Whoa.
He and his brother Brad Nelson, of course.
But
they're just terrors. They're the players you don't want to run into in these tournaments. But here comes international elite player coming in to challenge the home field champion.
And Dmitry Butikov, very, very well known for his exploits on Magic Online.
Definitely.
Under the handle Butikov. Very unpretentious approach to Magic Online username real estate there. And, what do we got here? Mox champion. This guy, he doesn't muck around.
Yeah, I wear a lot of hats, Riley. I'm a competitor on the Pro Tour. Today I'm your professional, unbiased commentator in the booth. But when I put on the hat of just a Magic fan, I don't mind telling you that I'm a huge fan of Dmitry Butikov. He's a super nice guy. I love to watch him play. He's got a great backstory, coming from Siberia, just the furthest reaches of the world. He tells me, I get to go to. They have Grand Prix Moscow about once every 3 years.
Yeah.
It costs me $1,000 to go to it, and that's the only tournament I get to go to. But now, as the Magic Online champion, he's auto platinum. He gets to compete in anything that he wants to. So it's really nice and easy to root for Dmitry.
Well, it's going to be difficult here because Corey Baumeister, right on schedule, has the refurbish Godfarer's Gift on turn 4. That's huge stuff from him, Reed. I got the chance to do some spell slinging yesterday, and Corey Baumeister was sitting next to me. He played this deck while he was spell slinging, and I was teasing him ferociously for it and saying, "You're not going to play this tomorrow, are you?" And he's like, "Nah, no way. I just wanted to have some fun. I just brought this one to have some fun." He didn't even have a sideboard with him, Reed, for spell slinging because it's obviously just best of one. And look, all those daggers still stuck in his back because here he is turning up with it at the GP.
Wow. He must have won at least half of his matches in spell slinging to change his mind and pilot this
He
deck.
just audibled onto it after beating people at the spell slinging table. Actually, no, he was getting crushed too because you get that stack of boosters to give away to people who beat you.
Sure.
He ran out before me, I'll tell you that much. But I tell you what, no mercy. Don't expect any quarter from me when it comes to spell slinging. I'll take your name, my friend. I'll get you. Don't worry about it. Baumeister, as you mentioned, one of the scourge of the standard format. He and his brother Brad have, look at this. Multiple GP championships for them both. Multiple GP top 8s, concurrent even. And these guys know the format in and out.
Yeah, if you ever want to know the best deck to play in a standard tournament, you just wait till round 4 of the Grand Prix and you look at what Corey Baumeister and Brad Nelson are playing. Those guys are just super sharp. They put in the hours. They have their fingers on the pulse of the metagame, and they always know what the best choice is going to be. And here it looks like Corey has shown up with white-blue Godfarer's Gift.
I'm pretty annoyed right now at the smoke screening yesterday. Because I just savaged this fella about his deck choice, and he was like, yeah, I know it's bad, and then all of a sudden, look at this. I'm going to be having stern words with this fella afterward. Also, one of the nicest dudes you're ever going to meet.
Super
always
nice,
got a smile on his face.
super humble. Corey's great to have around.
Just and a very, very funny dude as well. Oh my goodness. Out of Minnesota, up in the frozen Northlands, don't you know? Oh yeah, you betcha.
Worth noting, Brad Nelson not in attendance this weekend, so Corey's carrying the flag for their clan, I suppose.
Oh yeah, for the Bash Brothers. No, Brad Nelson, we understand a couple of health issues for him, so we do wish him a speedy recovery and all the very best on behalf of team coverage. We hope to see old Bard Narson back on the circuit before too long. Take care of yourself, my friend. Let's kick things off now, says Butikov with an Abrade. Get rid of that Godfarer's Gift, and that's a very nice answer. One of the liabilities of running main decked huge artifacts, Reed, is Abrade is just everywhere. Yeah,
definitely. The white-blue Godfarer's Gift deck is super powerful. You can get the gift into play on turn 4 a pretty reasonable portion of the time, and that's one of the most powerful cards available in standard. But you don't necessarily have it so easy, as Abrade is a fairly ubiquitous card, and these red decks often play often 4 between main deck and sideboard. So you have your work cut out for you.
I do apologize to viewers. I did make an error in saying that Corey Baumeister is from Minnesota. He's actually from North Dakota. So, I mean, well, hey, six it wasn't one, half a dozen the other, huh? Just snow and Fargo. Real good now. Okay, then. Double Scrap Heap Scrounger for Budakov is not doing too much in the face of this Angel of Invention, but he has an unlicensed Disintegration to take care of the Angel. Now, Baumeister wouldn't have been too unhappy to have seen that when he had the Godfarer's Gift out, and Budakov has obviously perpetrated some pretty deliberate timing here, Reed, to make sure that Baumeister's cards have the minimum possible impact.
Yeah, he even gave Corey a chance to make an overly aggressive attack with that Sunscourge champion, but Corey saw through it, of course, left that back to block.
Baumeister with the block now on Budakov's 3-2. And a Settle the Wreckage as well. Looks like Baumeister's not taking any further damage that he has to.
And speaking of giving your opponent every chance to make a mistake, you see Corey, he doesn't just pull the trigger on Settle the Wreckage. He makes his block. He says, do you have any effects? Budakov says no, he's ready to go to damage, but then that's when Corey uses Settle the Wreckage. So that's the type of play that you'll see from these perfectionist type players. Just do everything at the best possible moment, give your opponents ample opportunity to jump the gun and make a mistake, and then only cast your spell when you're good and ready.
All right, this is good stuff now for Baumeister. He's going to start to turn the tables a little, well, not just a little bit. Wow, that table has just rotated 180 degrees, and all of a sudden Budakov going to game number 2. That was, wow, he just couldn't face down that Angel of Invention, huh?
No, that's about it. And that's actually a pattern you see a lot in this blue-white Godfarer's Gift deck. It becomes so powerful if it can reach 7 mana between hardcasting Godfarer's Gift, Eternalizing Champion of Wits, and it actually has surprisingly quite a lot of defense and staying power. You see Corey with the main deck, Settle the Wreckage there. So in addition to having these super fast explosive draws where you refurbish on turn 4, you can also definitely play the long game, and that's what we see Corey Baumeister winning in game number 1 there.
Minister of Inquiry is coming down now for Corey Baumeister, and a second one joining it, and a third. A lot of questions here, a lot of ministers. My goodness me. Looks like a bit of a priestly convocation here, as we see all these ministers coming out to play. You don't have ministers over here, do you? In your political system?
No.
I think you call them secretaries, like your Secretary of State, rather than your Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, these ministers all the same. A lot of books being torn up as a penal law comes down, and Baumeister mills away. Well, 3 draw spells. Ugh.
Wow, and Budakov actually didn't attack with Scrap Heap Scrounger. He didn't want to have Corey double block and make an unfavorable trade, or what he perceived to be an unfavorable trade.
Back to Budakov now. Got whole government's worth of ministers standing in the way of Corey Baumeister here. And Budakov now with a Duress. That's a nice one. Going to snag that Godfarer's Gift. But, I mean, if Baumeister can rip a refurbish, he's not going to worry about that at all. But, that 3 lands in hand apart from that, Reed.
Yeah, one of them's a cycling land, though. So as you mentioned, 2 shots at refurbish to potentially just, threaten winning the game immediately. But we'll see if Budakov decides to leave up mana to protect himself, or potentially pump it into his Pia Nalar activation, cast another spell. He's got a lot of options available to him.
Looks like a double block from the Ministers, a triple block from the Ministers now, maybe looking to take down that Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Yeah, and you can see why Dimitri declined to attack last turn. He would have just traded the Scrounger for 1 Minister last turn, but here with a single activation of Pia Nalar, he'll get the trade for 2 creatures, which of course is much more favorable for him.
And Baumeister with an interesting decision to make here. He's on 20. He's not under a huge amount of pressure, and it looks like he's just going to take 5. I like that. I don't think he's in any immediate need to answer that Scrap Heap Scrounger. He can give himself another turn. He's going to mill himself out for a bunch here as well. Down to 4 energy. Down to 3 energy, even 2 energy, as we see 9 cards hit the bin. And he hasn't hit a refurb. Oh, there's one. Okay. He's going to want to refurbish here.
He's all set with Angel of Invention, Champion of Wits, Godfarer's Gift, all ready to go in the graveyard if he can find that refurbish.
One time. One time. Corey Baumeister. Spin that wheel, my friend. Let's have a look. Ooh, GPG off the top. Not what he wanted to see. But, you know, it's not all over just yet. Still a long way away from hardcasting that here, Reed.
So interestingly, Corey picked up another irrigated farmland, so I'll be curious to see whether he cycles it on his main phase, looking for something maybe to spend his mana on, or passes to put the fear of Settle the Wreckage into Budakov.
Looks like he's going to take the first option there. Draws a card. Oh, and there's the refurbish. Oh, ooh, Papa likey. Let's see what he can do with this here. I mean, this isn't too late, right? Baumeister's right in this one.
Yeah, definitely. And the pump of the Thopter token last turn is a hint to me that potentially Dimitri does not have a Braid. Oh, but what he does have is Doomfall.
Oh, no.
And this punishing Corey Baumeister for the main phase cycle.
Oh, no. Because, of course, Baumeister could have protected that refurbish, left it on the top of his library, had he not cycled the irrigated farmland. Bit of egg dripping off the end of his nose because he's certainly got it all over his face right now. And Budakov's got to feel very smart right now. Yeah, I tell you what.
Perfect timing on his discard spells so far. If he had used the Doomfall, well, I guess he clearly wasn't going to use it last turn because he played the Duress. But yeah, this was just working out super nicely for Dmitry Budakov.
All sorts of swings and roundabouts right now as we see Budakov getting in once again, running back the same attack, in for 4. We'll see if he wants to pump up anything if Baumeister... I think Baumeister's ready to start blocking now. Yeah. So, nice clean 2-for-1 here. As Baumeister dumps 3 more cards. Oh, another refurbish there. And another refurbish. That's all 4.
That is all 4, yeah. So Budakov does not have to worry about it. But the next question is how much pressure can the red-black aggro deck put on? Because we saw in Game 1, Corey won as a result of actually getting to 7 mana and hardcasting God Pharaoh's Gift. He's got the gift and a 5th land already in hand. He's got a pretty healthy life total. So this game is not over. It's still... The pressure is on Dimitri to come up with something and actually kill Corey Baumeister before things get too bad for him.
Another irrigated farmland. So we've had 3 cycled in 3 turns. Baumeister plays another land. And, I mean, he's at the moment, he's set his sails to, he's kind of all in on this 7-drop now. And as you mentioned, I think one of the telling things about the way that Budakov's played in pumping up his artifacts, you know, the Thopters, the Scrap Heap Scroungers, is that he doesn't have a whole lot else going on in his hand.
Right.
That's okay, never mind.
It's at least a hint towards that. Playing aggro or mid-range against combo is extremely challenging in constructed Magic, and part of it is walking that tightrope of wanting to use your mana and present enough of a clock while also leaving yourself not vulnerable when you can afford to. So the decisions of when to hold up mana for a Braid or potentially even to bluff a Braid versus when to sink them into pumping, those are challenging decisions, and it's not always 100% clear what you should be doing.
We're going to speed things up a little bit now because, as you may have heard through the microphones, we have had the pairings for round number 5 being put up. Maria Bartholdi and Andrew Brown will be here to take you through that. But in the meantime, we've got to resolve this one here between Dmitry Budakov and Corey Baumeister. So speed up that video a little bit to make sure we get to the end of the playback here. Baumeister has that 6th land, but Budakov now getting in with the team, including that Rekindling Phoenix.
I love this play from Budakov. He's actually setting himself up to be able to beat God Pharaoh's Gift, because what he's going to do is Corey's going to presumably bring back a flying lifelink haste Angel of Invention, and Budakov's going to block with Thopter token and sacrifice it to PNLR's ability to fizzle the life gain. Now, he still has the Angel to contend with. He's going to have to find a way to attack through it, but he can draw as little as a single artifact to make it unable to block with Pia's ability, and maybe he can win this game.
So in for 4 makes two little servos there. And the line that you mentioned there, Reed, maybe the one that Budakov elects to take, blocking and then sacrificing the Thopter. 1 card in hand here for Budakov. And Baumeister takes a drink of that water. So important to stay hydrated.
Actually, there's another play available now to Budakov, which is that he can block and just pump six mana to make a stop to a 4/1.
Oh, hello, look at this.
Now Corey's going to gain the 4 life, which is huge, tremendous life swing on this board. But at least the Angel is gone; it's no longer a blocker.
Yeah, and of course those servo tokens as well. Now 1/1s, but it's not enough. And Dmitry Budakov is forced to concede there against Corey Baumeister, who, after some pretty choppy Cs to begin with there, I mean, milling over all 4 copies of Refurbished and having one of them Doomfall as well. Ugh. But ultimately getting there. Godfarer's Gift maybe back on the map.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about both those games. In Game 1, Budakov had the Abrade. In Game 2, it was the Doomfall to strip away the Refurbish. He just lost long games against the combo deck. So it's very much a multi-dimensional deck that can win in a lot of different ways, and I think that's why a super strong player like Corey Baumeister has chosen it.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on that deck and, of course, that player as the tournament continues. But right now, my friends, we've got to go to a break. On the other side of it, you'll be in the booth with Maria Bartholdi and Andrew Brown. We're going to step out and make room for them. So stick with us. We'll be back here live from Pittsburgh in just a few moments.